Welcome to the channel. I'm Tony the Technician, and today we're going to be looking at the Icon 9-inch pair of slip joint long nose pliers. And well, it's been a solid 10 months and I finally got my hands on a pair of them. It was the last set in the store, and I didn't actively seek these out. There are a few things that I look for that I haven't came across, these being one of them, for 10 months since they were released. Some people were lucky enough their location stocks them regularly. I have two locations close to me. I probably go to Harbor Freight maybe once, twice if I'm lucky every month. If I'm there for something, I'll just swing by and see if these are there. And then there were a couple times I was looking for these. But for the most part, I've been able to always pick up whatever I was looking for. These have evaded me for the longest time. So even though I'm late to the party, we're going to take a look at them. I'm going to share my thoughts with you guys. Supposedly, there are some updates to this as well. I'm not sure if this specifically is the updated one, but there was discussion about some improvements that they could make to them. But we'll get into all that here in just a second. So here's the packaging there. You can see PLSJ9. I believe that's the part number, but the item number is going to be 70612. I believe you can search them with either. We'll get into all this information, but if you'd like to pause and read that, you can. So I've been very impressed with a lot of the Icon pliers. I only have a few, like their flush cuts, the diagonal side cutters, as well as the stripper and crimpers. But as you guys already know, the long nose 9-inch pair is based off of the snap-on design, almost identical to it. I don't have the snap-on design of this plier. I just have the snap-on 3-position slip joint pair of pliers. But basically all this is just an elongated slip joint plier. Everything from basically the open jaw down is the same. So I'm a big fan of the 3-position slip joint design. It's already extremely rare to find a pair of long nose pliers that is a slip joint in general. There's like the Work Pro that they recently released that is a 2-position kind of closer to this design. And then like IPS or Igarashi has a long reach long nose plier, and then Mac also has one. But to find just a slip joint long nose plier is very rare, let alone another 3-position one. I don't even know of any others besides the Snap-on and this Icon one. Slip joints I have from Sonoda, made in Japan. Absolutely fantastic pair of slip joint pliers. And they use a 3-position, but it is in a straight line, as you can see there. So no matter where you place it, if you go to the center hole, the top of the pliers are still flush. And that's just due to the fact that they use a straight line for all 3 positions. Whereas with the Snap-on and the Icon, they kind of use that pyramid or triangle kind of position to where the middle section is slightly higher than the outer 2. So you do kind of get that offset for the teeth. But honestly, if you're moving to that position or the 3rd position, typically you're grabbing something larger. So it doesn't really matter if the jaws are the same up here. So just taking a real close look at these. It does have a precision ground tip. So you can see here it does have more of a square style nose. And then you can see kind of the taper up here towards the end. I really like this nose design. It's going to be a little bit bulkier than a lot of your other long nose pliers, but I really like the design. It's built very, very well. It's definitely by far the largest set of long nose pliers I have. Just real quickly showing some of the others, like I have my smaller Fujiya long nose pliers. Then I have my Knipex long nose pliers with a built-in cutter. Then I have my channel locks with a little bit bigger teeth up here in the front, an open jaw section, and a cutter. Then I have like my Van pliers, none of these being a slip joint design. Like I said, very rare. Much larger teeth on these with a built-in cutter. And one thing that is identical about all of these is the teeth serrations. They all use straight cut teeth. Well, minus the Van plier, that is screw extraction. So it has teeth that go both vertically and horizontal. But other than that, they all have teeth that flow in the same direction. And if there's one thing that I love in a set of pliers, it is crosshatch. And that was one of the reasons I really liked the Snap-on. It is a very aggressive Talon grip crosshatch design. And almost none of my long nose pliers have crosshatch. There's one pair, and I used it in my work truck, and that is the gear wrench, what is this, the pit bull, I think they're called. But this does have fine crosshatching in it. So I love crosshatching, though it's very, very subtle. It's very, the teeth aren't, you know, very big. It still does better at grabbing than most of my other long nose pliers. So crosshatching is something that I really enjoyed. That may be personal preference, but that's something I really enjoy in a pair of pliers. And that was one of my biggest selling points on these Icon ones. So you have small precision crosshatching up in the nose of the pliers here, and then you move into kind of your more standard crosshatching. It is quite aggressive. There you can see just how aggressive the teeth are. There were some mentions that some people had broken some of these teeth or doled out some teeth, and that was supposed to be an improvement. I'm not exactly sure. There was also something mentioned about the taper of the teeth all the way back, where if you look really closely, if I can get this set up, there you can almost see the red handles of the pliers all the way up to the nose. I'd say maybe an 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch back. The teeth are touching, and then they slowly start to taper. At first, I kind of thought that was a design flaw, especially if I'm trying to grab something here, but with the precision crosshatch up here, it's going to be really, really good at grabbing small, thinner things. And then if I need to grab something thicker, these teeth are really going to bite into it. And the fact that they're crosshatching, it's going to be good from pulling from the front or from the side or an angle. Whereas if I were to pull something with a different set of long nose pliers, pulling from the side isn't great. At an angle, it's decent. Really, the best pull you're going to get is from the front. So I like the fact that they use different sizes of serrations. You got your precision, you have your kind of your standard crosshatch, though being quite aggressive, and then you have your straight cut for the open jaw section, and then you have your shear cutter as well. One thing I did notice, straight out of the box, it was like this. It looks like when they were machining the tips or kind of cleaning these up, grinding the tips of these pliers, that on one side they accidentally hit it a little far off. There you can kind of see over here. Not a big deal, but that is something that I noticed. They are a forged alloy steel. The other thing is the handle grips. This is their comfort grip, almost identical to the Snap-on. The texture is slightly different. Some people would mention some like stickiness to the handles. I don't have that issue. One thing that was noted was on a lot of the Icon pliers, they use a lot of adhesive or epoxy up in the top of the grips to kind of fill the space and to keep them from twisting or coming off. I did notice like on some pairs they have much more. There you can really see it kind of overflowing onto the handles. It is a hard like epoxy. And it's kind of, I don't even know if you can tell in the camera, but it's kind of got a brown tint to it, the epoxy does. It's hard to tell in the camera, but there is still an epoxy, but it's not overflowing from the top, and it does look to have more of a clear color to it. So that is another thing that may have changed. I'm not sure if the teeth design have changed, but that's something that was mentioned from a few people. The taper, I don't think that's something that's going to change. I did notice in a couple videos where they compared them to the Snap-on side by side. The Snap-on is the same way, but not quite as far. The teeth aren't as separated as much, but still the same kind of taper. And then the handle adhesive was another thing that was supposedly, possibly updated on them. And them being sticky, I haven't had any issues with any of my Icon pliers being sticky or anything like that. They do have a reduced height on the cushion grips compared to the Snap-on, just due to the fact that when you're in that third position, it prevents, on the Snap-ons, it prevents you from closing them all the way unless you crush the two cushion grips together. That is one of the reasons why they kept the grips on the Icon set a little bit shorter, was to prevent that from happening, so you don't have to worry about the handles bumping into each other when in that position. As far as weight, we are looking at 12.8 ounces. A little bit heavier, but it's also got a couple inches on all of my other long nose pliers, so there's a little bit of weight, but also you can tell there's just a lot more material used with the snap-on and Icon design. They are built like tanks. There's a little bit of deflection in them. What I use long nose pliers for, I don't have to worry about, you know, I have never broke a pair of long nose pliers, and I'm not afraid of breaking these. So with like gripping fasteners, the first position, it's going to be really good for smaller fasteners or anything like that. And then like moving up to a little bit larger, this is probably the max that I would run. This I would probably step up to the second position just because my hands are starting to separate quite a bit. So just simply moving to that second position allows me to get a really good bite on it with the handles basically parallel instead of in a V shape. You can get a lot of grip on that. And then stepping up a little bit further, even with this, the second position is still pretty good. With the third position, it is a little too big. But then stepping up to an even larger fastener, I mean, typically I would not use a set of long nose pliers for larger fasteners like this, but using a standard pair or your more common long nose pliers, this is just not practical. But that's kind of where these shine, both the Snap-on and Icon. Just the fact that you can use these for larger things because of how beefy and versatile they are. And that is like perfect for that. Like I can get a lot of grip on that. That thing's not going anywhere. Other things I use, you know, bending, twisting, whatever it may be. Or if I'm pulling things, pulling wires, this is going to be really good even from the side or the front. I mean, you get really good grip. And then from the side, even when it starts to taper, this is 18 gauge galvanized steel. Even with that taper, we'll even move further back. I mean, it's still got plenty of grip. They're really good bite. And then the shear cutter at the base works fantastic, no issues with that. So you got soft copper wire, galvanized steel, things like that. That shear cutter is going to work really well. People say, you know, they're not as good as Snap-on. Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me, honestly. This, well, was $25 when released. It's $30 now. And I'll tell you one thing, guys, I rarely ever buy anything at Harbor Freight at full price. These, honestly, I picked them up full price. It was the last one in the store and the first time I've seen them in 10 months. So I picked them up. They went up from $25 to $30 after tax, and everything was $32. So I don't care because I'm probably not going to see these things again. The Snap-on set of these are $72. These, even after tax, $32, still half the price, under half the price of the Snap-on. Plus, they have a lifetime warranty. So honestly, I'll save the money, and these are going to do everything that I need them to, plus more than what my typical long nose pliers will typically do. So the one thing I will say is I really hope Icon does release a smaller set of these. I think that would be extremely popular as well. This 9-inch pair, you know, if they offer a 7-inch pair or a 6-inch pair, something like that, I think it's going to be very, very popular. But I think they did a good job on these. I mean, it's not hard to just copy a design, but I think, you know, doing it for cheaper, getting it to the people who want to try out a Snap-on style design for a much better price, I think they did a great job. So I will keep you guys updated in about 6 months on how these are performing. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. And if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.